We're live.
Hey everybody, it's Sharice Gilliam, a Hustlepreneur, and I'm here in the Hustlepreneur Studios today with David Watts and Bernie Watts of OnStage Plus. And I thought this was such a very big subject that I thought we'd have them come in, and maybe we're going to figure out how to get David and Bernie in one screenshot here in just a second. Right? Right, there we go. We'll be able to bounce back between the two of them some kind of way as we do this. Anyway, OnStage Plus is a fantastic organization that helps you get on television. So let me explain it to you. So let's say that you have a very popular podcast, or you have a broadcast, or excuse me, you have a play on stage, or you have a comedy show, or you have a live entertainment act that you were doing before COVID, because now we know nobody's doing those, right? Although they're starting to come back a little bit more, like Super Bowl show. That was kind of weird, but anyway, I digress. So you have a live performance that you do, and you would like to elevate your game. You're like, this is great, and I'm having a lot of success at it, but I'd like to do something new. Would you like to take that Broadway show, play, TV, live performance, and make it into a TV show? If that is the case, this is the episode you don't want to miss. So we have David Watts and Bernadette Watts here today to tell you all about just how to do that. So David, Bernie, come on in and let's talk TV.
Absolutely. So let's see here. So how can we put this? Let's see if we can.
There we go.
There we go.
I love it.
Okay. So OnStage Plus, we started about 2 years ago. We started really kind of seeing what was going to be kind of the next trend in the digital space. As you guys know, I'm showing my age here. Back in the day, you had 2, 4, 5, 7. You watch your thing. You looked at the TV guide. You actually had a book that told you when shows and movies were coming on. And if you missed it, you just missed it. And then of course it comes along in the mid to late 90s. It goes digital, and they're telling you nowadays, when you got the rabbit ears, you're not gonna be able to catch regular TV anymore. You need a special box. And so they're like, oh my God, I gotta have that, And then of course you've got cable, you've got your other channels, and then came the streaming or digital platforms, and that's literally where the world is going now. And I mention that because back in the day, if you wanted to get involved with television, you had to go to school, you had to learn all this stuff, get into the film industry, the television industry, work your way up, work for a local station, everything. Nowadays, you can literally grab hold of this multi-billion-dollar industry by just having the moxie, the gumption of knowing this is something I wanted to be able to do. I just need to have the access to it. And that's what we're here to talk to you guys about.
Yeah, we're talking about access. We want to talk about basically about how to be a producer on TV with our network.
Yes.
Our network, as Sharice alluded to, is OnStage Plus, and we primarily are niched in providing content that is done on stage. But there's a plus sign. There's a plus there in order to kind of just encourage people that we don't only work with performances or things that are done on stage. There are some other content materials that we're interested in working with producers to help bring to us, and that's things that are inspiring, things that are really motivating for people to find happiness in their lives and increase. So
okay, and I think we can get that, the plus, right? We can get that, but sometimes it's hard for me to understand the plus when I don't understand the basics. So we just stayed with the basics first, right? Let's just say I have a fantastic running play. I am a theater company. I'm a theater company, and I just in my head just popped 4 or 5 theater companies that I think would be phenomenal for this. There is a theater company that does a play in these costumes, and they're kind of it reminds me of Dr. Seuss before there was Dr. Seuss, right? Like we all know Dr. Seuss is in books, but Dr. Seuss has those weird characters, right? The grand to know where this company has weird characters too for to talk about to kids about different things. Anyway, I digress. I think that would be so cool to see a TV show, episode after episode of something like that, right? Or what I'm thinking is my niece loves to watch these hands put toys together on YouTube. I do not know what she finds fascinating about that. I just don't. I just don't know what she finds fascinating about that. But she just adores that show. And I was thinking, who came up with that? But she loves it. And I can imagine if they were to launch from the YouTube only arena with that type of show, puppet show, to a TV show,
Hmm.
right? Now, is that a hard jump? Like, how do you jump to that?
Actually, it's not, and that's really about what we're looking to offer. Is about bringing the culture that you would find in these live productions that you watch on stage in a theater, bringing that stage to the world. There are so many places out there that never will have access to those type of live productions or those type of stage productions. And what we're inspired by is giving the opportunity to theaters and to other content creators who have content like that to be able to reach a digital audience. So, I mean, we're looking at ourselves as really partners for people who have that type of content and who really just need the opportunity to have access to a global market and without the cost barrier that has prohibited a lot of places and people from doing that. You know, it costs tens of thousands of dollars to put together and run a digital network. And so, you know, when we have the access that we have, we're saying we're looking to take it and create a movement in a way. I mean, we were pre-COVID, you know, so we've been looking to do this before the pandemic, looking to bring the stage to the world before the pandemic. But right now, I think it's critical for theaters and places of live stage entertainment and performers who that was their only livelihood. That was their only access to people, was to have them come into a theater. With that removed right now, and who knows when it will really come back to normal, they could still thrive with something like what we're doing. So, you know, back to like producers, you know, we're looking to talk to you today about like what are producers, you know, what are the benefits and the responsibilities, you know, how we support them, and, you know, how you can get started.
Yeah. Okay. So let's just talk. Let's jump right into that. Right. So I'm a person who I'm a comedian. I'm just gonna let's keep something. I think when it's really easy when you can keep it really simple, right?
Okay.
So let's keep it really simple for the sake of the logistics, right? Because some of it can get a little bit like producer, studio, you know, digital, analog, TV, and it's like, okay, you lost me, right? So I have a comedy show. I'm a comedian and I have a comedy show, and I go out and I'm looking for different venues to constantly bring my content to. How would I turn that into a digital TV show?
Okay, so normally comedians aren't looking to just, I mean, they're looking to work with different theaters or studios to go in, or laugh houses to, you know, kind of put themselves out there and get in front of an audience.
Okay,
And
well,
so
let's do another one. Let's do
what
another
we're
one.
doing is we're not
Let's
necessarily
do another one.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do another one. Let's say I have a production. I have a dance studio and I do lots of dance productions.
Okay, there
And
we go.
I have a bank of shows that I've done all around the world all the time. You know, we do them Christmas, New Year's specials. We have a signature show that we do that we run every year, and we do it you know, for all the friends and the family members. We have, and then we go out and we do contests, and we have and then we have these shows filmed, edited, promos to go with them, and all ready to go, banked. Thousands of shows, right? Would I be your ideal person because I have all this content ready to go, where I could fill up a whole day of just various shows, one episode after another.
Okay, so actually, you having a connection or knowing that theater, that dance company, that's what we're looking to work with right now, are producers, people who have those contacts, who know people or organizations that could truly benefit from having access to a global digital audience, because it's not just about putting content out there for just other people to see. There's a business behind it that can allow theaters or these organizations to really thrive. Not only can they grow their brand, because when they put themselves out to a global audience, they're able to reach a larger market who may have never heard of them before. They're also able to inspire people to kind of see what it is they do and really create a fan base. So this exposure is creating a fan base for people who have never known about you before. And then it's also opening up the doors to working with bigger corporate sponsors and advertisers who want to reach the millions of people that you could have access to if you're on digital TV.
Okay, so I'm a person who has a connection to a producer, but let's say I'm the producer. This is my show that I produce all the time, right?
Okay.
How complicated is it to go? Because right now my mind is thinking about stage props, all the filming equipment is necessary. How do I move that to
I think what we have to do is just kind of like, let's really get a good understanding and defining what a producer is, especially the producers that we're looking for our network. Yes. So, there's a multitude types of the producers. There are just your standard producer that's over everything. There's the executive producer that's primarily in charge of just making sure that there's funding in place. There are associate producers. There are production coordinators. There are primarily, and I think the closest one is line producers, who really work below the line to really make that production get its finished product. Now there are producers who work with a theater that they work with the writers, they find casting, they build the sets, they do all of that for the theater. But where we would come in with our producers would be kind of almost like a line producer, in a way where we're saying, hey, if you don't already have these productions on film or that are ready for consumption digitally, we can work with you and our affiliates, our production company affiliates, to help that happen. And so our producers are kind of like line producers, where we work to make sure these stage producers, these theatrical producers, can have their content put in a way where it can be digitally digested. And also, there are companies that already have their productions filmed and that they are already ready. So that same producer would just kind of introduce them to the opportunity that we have to say, hey, here is a network that you can partner with, where you can keep the rights to your content and you can continue to leverage that content and your brand, and just make sure that you can get the most out of it with merchandising, with how you market and grow it. And you can also collect on the advertising. That's the thing, is you collecting on the advertising and being able to continue to thrive during this weird time that we're experiencing, that,
or not so weird time, right? Because we're going to be, I think momentarily we're going to be in a not so weird time too, right? And so David, Jamie, I sent her the link because I'm hoping that she'll get to jump on and add some value to this conversation too. But I think we're going to be in a not so weird time where all these things that we thought were weird will now become the new norms, right? Mm-hmm. There will be lots of people who will just really enjoy doing stuff on Zoom and meeting people and doing the things that we were doing, interview styles. It'll become integrated into our new norm, right?
And then
go ahead.
Oh, so Sam, one of the things, it's so funny. I was watching this video with Tyler Perry. He said, and sometimes when he sees stuff, he'll be like, okay, break it down to me like I'm a 5-year-old. And so Burnett is very analytical. And so we're looking for a line producer. And I was like, okay, how can I make money on this? How can I work from home or work from a beach and use my phone to make money from this? Can I do that? If you want to do that, then I'm in. You know,
I'm like Tyler Perry. Tell me like I'm two.
Yeah, right, that one. So,
I was thinking to myself when she said there's a whole bunch of producers. I was like, yeah. And I still don't know what a line producer is after all that talking she just
right.
did.
And it's
I
so
was
funny.
like, but if a line producer is out there doing all the work, they don't have no money making decisions. They ain't caring about no advertising. They just care about the props, the people, the places. I want the executive producer.
Right.
I'm thinking I want the executive producer who has the money tied, the responsibility to get advertisers. So I get what you're saying.
Okay.
So wait,
Yeah,
so please, before she takes us down into the thesaurus and everything, I just want to say we're looking for people. So imagine you are like, you want to be on the beach and you want to be, you want to make money and be able to travel abroad and be able to do your thing. This is a job for you. So basically,
and you want to all do it from your iPhone 12, 14, 15, 17. Okay,
Yeah.
they got some orders brand new
That's
cameras.
ideal. That's ideal.
So
They don't always start that way, though.
I
Don't simplify it so
but
much.
I'm gonna break it down simply. You're right. It can be complicated,
Okay.
but I just want to put it in simple terms because I'm the kind of person that I'm like, would I do this? And if I would do this, then I can definitely.
If you have,
I just want to finish my thing.
all right, I'll be quiet.
So I'm just saying that you say, okay, I've got contacts or I can talk to people and I know that this person has a great show that will be a great fit for their network. And you say, I'm going to arrange for this deal. Mm-hmm. You call your contact, you say, look, I've got a great proposal here. You talk to us, that's a great production. We'd love to have it on the network. You negotiate the deal is done, and you make money from the advertising that is generated from that production.
I think that's a business model. I think that's a really smart business model for the person who really doesn't need any overhead, right? Like I can get those deals done with just a phone.
Yes.
But I think the other business model that I see here is for the person doing the actual producing of a show, where they're in a small theater now. They have a very limited audience because maybe they're only getting locals to come to that very small theater. And their book of business is really loyalty customers who are right around that small theater. If you want to take that into a global world and get global exposure, that is a perfect person to me. That's a business model that also would be very lucrative.
We're talking about the same thing. What David was mentioning is that the people that he would have in his Rolodex that he would contact are those theaters, are those people that have that content or that are producing shows and need that global reach and need to kind of expand how they can show their content, and it can't just be live right now. So what he's saying is that the producers that we're working with are bringing these people and marrying them with our network so that we can remove that cost barrier that prohibited them from getting into the television space and now give them access where they can not only build their brand and grow their fan base, but also to collect on the revenue that they would not normally have access to.
I think that's good. I think that's really smart. Mm-hmm. I think it's really, really, really smart. If you are a small production company, it would behoove you to move into this space where it's so inexpensive to do it and get so much more. I can only think about the stuff that I watch, right? I don't watch a lot of TV, but when I do watch kind of like that redundant stuff, which is perfect because I could absolutely watch somebody's performance. Mm-hmm. I watch a lot of on demand over and over, the next episode and the next episode. I just watch it all. Like I wait, right? I'm like, my husband teased me yesterday and said, "Are you watching 2012 television?" I said, "No, I'm on 2014. Thank you. I'm on They're up to 2014 now, okay? I know we're in 2021, but I'm going to get there because I got all those episodes ahead of me to keep watching. I just marathon it. But I think that what is really good is that if you have I was looking at YouTube, and there is a orchestra or band, or it's a gospel band, and they have like 750,000 views when they're live once a week, right? I was thinking it would be really nice for me to just be able to watch the concert after the concert after the concert just on demand on a digital network, because I'm probably not going to get back to it on YouTube all the time. Sometimes I can't find it, but I can go right to that show and then watch all those live concerts.
That's the benefit of working and partnering with a network like ours, where you have a channel where people can go and they can go directly. They know where your content is. They can access it. They can see new things that you're putting out, so that you can grow that brand that way. And then also, as we develop and grow and add even more theaters, as people come for one theater or one type of programming, they're scrolling and they see you. So you have that additional exposure there too. So, it's really something that's a win-win, not only for our network to be able to bring the stage to the world, that's our mission, but also for allowing these theaters and these other content providers to be able to grow their brand and to be able to capitalize off the advertising and sponsorship dollars that are available out there when they attract these millions of people to their creative and wonderful content.
Just imagine if the guy who made the Muppets, what's his name? It escaped me.
Jim Henson.
Jim Henson. Imagine if Jim Henson could do this today. If he could skip through, big studios and TV networks and cable agreements, and just imagine if he could just skip straight to this part. The Muppets is already, very, very good. I'm not saying nothing about the Muppets, but imagine if you are a person who got that, you're creating something along those lines, and it's just so daunting to try to get into it on that scale. The amount of money and resources that you have to come to bring to it. Imagine you just jump straight ahead and get a global audience.
And what I would like to point out with that reference is his brand, because his brand could have been bigger than just the Muppets. That was his production, but there may have been more things that he wanted to bring to light. Now, when you're working sometimes with a lot of other networks, or in the past, how they work with, they were just assumed in that thing that you created, that one thing that you created. Sometimes your names were tied to it, sometimes not, depending on the rights agreements that you sign. That's why it's always good to keep some type of ownership with what it is that you create, comes from your mind, and which is what we do. People who come with us and partner with us, they keep all of the ownership and rights, so they can leverage merchandise, and they can leverage all types of opportunities out there for revenue. But what I'm trying to say is that it's not just the Muppets. It could have also been Jim Henson. So that when Jim Henson decided to produce something else, they were familiar with that brand. They love the Muppets, so they want to see more of what Jim Henson created. And not to say that, we were able to say his name right away because of,
I was getting ready to say it and I lost it.
His name was already there with the billing.
Yeah,
so people knew that,
and then it slipped from me, but I knew the name.
That's not so with a lot of other content creators. You'll find that their name may not be readily available in the billing. It doesn't show under the title or above the title who they were. So there's no way for the people to grow their brand and see that, I want to see more of what this person is doing because I like the creative content that they produce thus far. You create a great film, you get it on Netflix, people see the title, they like this great film, but they don't remember your name. And so when you do something else, what if you weren't able to get it on there? They just know this one thing. And so we're saying, continue to grow your brand, continue to leverage who you are, and you can just open your doors up to more opportunities for yourself when you're able to do that.
So just like here at the Hustlepreneur Studios, which is where I am today, we say you are your brand
Yeah.
because you really are. You may
Mm.
think, oh, I don't want to be the face of a company, but it does become. Steve Jobs was the face of Apple. Even
That's
when
right.
Apple kicked him to the curb, we all still saw him as the guy who was tied
Yeah.
to Apple. And then what had happened is when he went to Pixar, we was like, oh, Steve Jobs got a new job. Where's he going? We want to see what he has to do. So you're exactly what you're saying is anytime Steve Jobs said, I'm going to go do something, we all would follow him right along to go see what he was doing next. And then he was like, I'm going to go to Disney. And then I'm going to come back to Apple. We just following you right along. So it wasn't so much about Apple or Disney or Pixar, but it was a lot about Steve Jobs too. Right?
Yeah, I mean, you find like small theaters. You just let me just make up a name, Blank Street Theater, right? They
Yeah.
may be known to the few of the locals that are in their area, and some of the different, enthusiasts that are in the county or what have you that really look for them, but they're not really known outside of that. And so they may be producing some great productions, but they're limited in their reach. And so you can grow a brand where somebody say, well, I'm going to be in San Francisco. Oh, and I saw this great production on Stage Plus, and I'm going to go there. I'm going to see about attending one of their live productions. That would have never happened had the exposure not happened through a digital network.
No, I think that's great. And so we just want to do a couple comments. Hey, Connie, what's happening? So Connie says, absolutely. She agrees with You Are Your Brand. She is Divinely Exquisite Ministries and Divinely Me Coaching. And so those things go synonymously with who Constance Cooper is. And I think that's exactly what it is. And so somebody may say, hey, I know Divinely Me Coaching, but they'll also go, oh, that's Connie. Or they'll know Connie along with Divinely Me Coaching. Those things go synonymously. Everybody knows Sharice Gilliam, Huspreneur, period. Full stop.
Absolutely.
That is the brand. And so when you start to develop your brand, I think it is real important that you be able to keep all of the nuts, the bolts, the legalese, and the revenue. Because that is where a lot of people, look, how many people can you name? It's a test to the Facebook world. Here you go, Facebook. Let's see how fast you can type it in. How many people in the music industry, movie industry, sports industry have you known where they started out, was thirsty, gave it all up, and was broke, even though they're songs that top #1 charts, right? How many people can we name? Prince, that's mine, right? Because remember, he did all of that, but he couldn't keep the name to his rights, his own name. So he had to rename himself and try to rebrand himself. But no matter what, we kept seeing him as Prince because he got branded as Prince. And then to be formally known as, I don't know what that never was. He can never really make that other brand work.
Right, and that's nothing too. We've seen stories all the way from the 50s, from the music artists, all the way up until now, where people lose their rights. And I've heard recently people like, well, I want to get something and I want to get it on Netflix. Understand that if you go to Netflix, chances are they're going to take a large percentage of your rights. And when you ever look at it, it says a Netflix production. You may get some producer credit, but trust me, they're in the business of making money for their platform, and they're going to get your rights. So that's one of the things we're really proud of that we've been able to do is to say, you guys come here, keep your rights. You created this. This is your content. We're not trying to come in here and saying, we're going to take this, we're going to take that.
And mind you, we're not like a Netflix, and we're not like trying to produce the content that Netflix is producing.
Right.
We are trying to work with a niche. We are trying to inspire. We do have a mission with the stage and bringing that culture to touching people all over. And then also we feel like we want this culture to continue after 7 years, after all this stuff really winds down and people are able to, we want 7 years to be able to have a place to go to. And so you have to kind of like embrace the mediums that are really, really working. And we found that in digital, there's studies already on top of the board that when you put your stuff out in digital medium and you are even advertised on those digital platforms, you don't have to put it out
Yeah.
as much. It's 4 times less. You got to put your stuff in front of people before they can see and click it and actually want to engage with what you're doing.
Right.
So that just
Right.
makes it more valuable.
No, and I think also too, I think the most important, like you said, you're not trying to be Netflix. First of all, Netflix grew to, they kept up with what the market wanted, right? When
Yeah.
I first was working with Netflix, it was about getting DVDs into people's hands. It was
Right.
not about producing content. That evolved as time evolved. And I think more importantly, I think the more important thing to say is you have to evolve as time evolves.
Right.
Right. So we get in this thing where we're doing good. Our brand is doing good. Our business is doing good.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take a pandemic to change the pull the rug from underneath your feet. The industry could change, and it could change quickly. And if you're not able to adapt and change with it, then you're like, oh, and then you become this mom and pop thing, starving for, local sponsors and trying to keep people keep coming to you because they're loyal. You're looking for this loyalty thing when you needed to move into this global market and find new loyal members and followers.
Yeah, you got to get in front. You don't ever want to be behind.
Right.
Get in front.
Right. But it's not hard to get behind when you are not really constantly thinking about what new features and products you can bring to your business, period.
Right.
I will tell you, every large company, and I think we all know this to be true, they have whole departments set up to do research and development of what's going to be new and then create a trend around it, right? And create that buzz around it. And it's set up years in advance, and they do a lot of research to find that out. You may not have to do that. You may have to do something just as simple as text you guys and get your show moving into a different direction by getting it onto a digital platform, right? Just something that simple could then take you to other platforms and other levels. Maybe today you're a show with episodes, but then maybe someday you have a whole channel where you manage all the shows that come on that channel, right?
Well, let's go back to the producer. And that's what's great about this opportunity that we're offering is that they get to be able to work with multiple people, organizations, and really impact them in a great way to continue to keep them open and then collect percentages off, the business that is being done with them on the network. So there's a lot of money to be had. It can happen from a phone, but
Right.
if you're a serious producer too, you're not looking just to leverage relationships that you have. You're looking to also build and grow new relationships. It's going to be hard to. I don't want to simplify and say you can do all of this completely over the phone. Yeah, there's going to be some different ways you're going to have to engage with people, especially as you meet new people. Because when you have an opportunity like this and access and impact that you can bring and influence, you don't want to hold it in and just keep it with the people who It's almost like there's a duty that you should have to really kind of help get this word out.
Right.
Talk to people, be an advocate for helping these theaters, for helping keeping culture moving by allowing it to continue to propitiate through all the different platforms that are available.
Yeah, I think as an artist, artists believe that their art and their talents and their gifts are meant for the world to enjoy. Mm-hmm. A lot of them believe it so much they don't charge enough, or they can't. That's all they care about. They don't care about the money aspect, which is why we came up with the term starving artist, right? Right. They only care about showing into the world. I think I do a lot of DIY, do-it-yourself little things, right? And I love it. I've subscribed to magazines. I subscribe to channels. I watch TV shows around it. And when I go and watch somebody who has 500,000 followers on YouTube, and I'm thinking, why do you not have a TV show? Why am I not going into Roku on my app and watching your show there so you could access so many more views? Because believe it or not, everybody don't watch YouTube.
It's really scary that people are taking all the time, because it took a lot of effort, it took a lot of consistency, and a lot of brain power, creative power to really do what they did when they reached those levels. So you do have to begin to take your own destiny into your own hands. You can't rely on a free platform like that, where they can make a decision or change their rights or their terms, and in 6 months you're out, or you're not doing what you need to do,
Right.
or they find that you're not working for them right now, or something that you say don't agree with what it is that they think that you should be putting out to their audience. Their audience is their audience. It's not really fully your audience. How are you really capitalizing on engaging that fan base and further building your brand? Yes, it is a great platform to use to build your brand, because it's free. There's the investment that you're putting in there is the investment that you're using to create your content and put yourself out there. But there does come a time where you're going to have to invest further in yourself by taking control of your brand and leveraging all of the opportunities that can be had. You got to learn how to exploit yourself, and I say that in the good way.
That is such a good. I know people think of that as a negative term, but you really do have to capitalize on everything your brand can bring you, and I think that's a great way to explain it. I also think that that people don't recognize how little control over a lot of what's played. And I'll tell you, one of my pet peeves. Here's my pet peeve, right? I could be watching a show and I'm like, ooh, it's getting really good. And what's going to happen next? And bloop, a commercial. Or they'll be like mid-sentence and it'll be like, what? And a commercial will go mid-sentence. And then when it comes back, you're finishing the sentence. Then I'm like, wait, I got to rewind because the sentence didn't come together, because they put a commercial mid-sentence, because they don't worry about that. Here's where you planned for the breaks. They're going to put them where they need to put them. And I will tell you that it's a turnoff too, to plan for a 45-minute show and they put in 97 commercials in there. It doesn't help the brand.
It can be a lot.
Right?
It can get to be a lot, yeah.
And it just doesn't help your brand. But I think having more control over, and the type of advertisers that get played into your show, having more control over those things, I think are very appealing, and should be very appealing to those who are out there doing, it's a lot of work doing what they do. It's a lot of talent, a lot of energy, and a lot of money. Then to tell somebody you need $10,000 so I could build you out an app on a platform, it's like, yeah, okay, I'll get back to you with that, right? Because it can be expensive.
It can get really costly. And so, that's why we realize that, that the access that we're offering is that we are removing the cost barrier. So there is an investment in coming on and partnering with us for a channel for your theater, because we're really trying to bring a global audience that is interested in what these theaters have to offer. And our producers are there to connect and keep those relationships with those theaters, those comedy houses, those motivational speakers, these different platforms or venues where they regularly do productions, where they need to stay relevant and they need to continue to grow and influence their brand to a greater audience.
I think it's fantastic. This has been so insightful, so informational. It is the longest pop-up I was planning on. I just kept going and going and going. Right? We were supposed to pop up, talk about it, and get out of here. And we just are going on and on and on. And I know we could talk all day, but it is a pop-up. So I just want to say, man, there's so much to learn. And I think if there's anyone out there who knows someone who has a art studio, not art studio, but what do you call it? A theater, right? A theater. You're doing live shows.
If you want to help theaters, if you want to help the culture, if you do have influence with different venues, or you've worked with promoters, you have relationships, we want to talk with you. We want to work with you. We want to put you on our team as a producer and really kind of help make a change and keep culture alive, keep the stage alive. for the future.
And I think,
And
listen,
just
here's
like-
the other thing I have. One more, David, and I'm gonna let you go. One other thing I have. If you're on the board of a theater company, it is your job to go out and find fantastic opportunities like this. I think your board would love to sit down and hear about how they can now be on a global stage with their TV production, with the TV production company, and bringing all the plays and shows that you bring to the local community. I think if you are a board member and you're listening to this and you're thinking, well, what can I do? I'm just on the board. Stop what you're doing, write the phone number down, call, set up an appointment, and get your theater company to a whole nother level. I think it would be, if you're not doing it, I don't know, you're going to get passed by probably.
And this is the thing. My thing is, she's very passionate about the theater, as am I. But if you are looking to produce theatrical content, comedy shows, live online concerts, spoken word, a motivational speaker, please talk to us. If you have any contacts in those areas, you can literally change your
And
life.
I say theater because I know local theaters provide venues for all those things.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Those little local theaters are not showing movies anymore. Little
Right,
local,
right.
You have big theaters now. You got 3 IMAX and 3D theaters. Those local theaters that used to be the only theater in the town are now moved to those other type of they're doing other kind of shows because then they're not going to be able to change over to do IMAX and 3D. These are theaters that are sitting 700, 500 people. A movie theater sitting 3,000 people. So I'm talking about, that's the venue I think really has super great quality content that could be showcased on a global level, and you're not competing with the IMAX and 3D movie theaters, right? I'm talking about a theater, not a theater. You know what I mean?
Right, absolutely, absolutely. And Sharice, I want to put on there too so people can reach you. So I think So I know it's, and I just misspelled it here. It's hustle. Hustle. How do you spell it? How do they reach you?
It's entrepreneur, but hustler instead of intra. I always get it wrong too. Hustlepreneur. So it's hustlepreneur.
Okay.
Just you can reach me at Sharice Gilliam. How about that one?
Sharice Gilliam at Gmail.
So you can reach me at Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Clubhouse. I'm at Sharice Gilliam.
Okay, there we go. I want to put this up for people. I think it's important that people actually see this and are able to contact you, because we always, a lot of times, will partner with Sharice, and we do it because she adds so much value to the productions and to the things, and she'll draw stuff out of us that we typically weren't thinking. She is a business coach. She does have, oh my God, a line of products. She does coaching. Yeah. You got to eat with her, seriously. And the good thing about it is she's not saying, well, give me $100,000 or $10,000 up front, even though you're going to get that much value from her. I mean, it really is great. And so, let's show that. Let's show that there. So, I think it's incredible because she just really adds value and everything. It's almost like you bake a pie, but you don't put the great ingredients. So it's like it's a pie, but it don't taste as good as that pie. She's the good tasty pie. Okay, that makes sense.
Thank you. I'm the sweet potato pie.
Yeah, there we go. And it can tell.
I think our brand we are a brand that helps you build your brand. And I think a lot of times we work with what I call small businesses, the real version of it, that hustlepreneur is a person who has a dream, has an idea, and is focused and is motivated to then take that and make it into something. And they're taking it from that concept of a thought to a lifestyle that is actually something they live off of. It is their world. And that's a hustlepreneur. It's not a hustle. It's not like, oh, I'm got to grind and I'm doing it. A hustlepreneur is somebody who maybe has to change the thought of how they've done it, how they're doing something. Entrepreneur means that you hold many different jobs within a company. A hustlepreneur means that you may have started and stopped many companies to be able to get to where you want to go. So it just is a person who understands maybe I started with one thing and I'm doing something different today because I'm moving through that dream until I hit that right stride. We help you hit that right stride a lot earlier and faster.
So funny. And, so every time I think of this, I don't know if I ever told you this. Back in I want to say the late 80s, early 90s, there was a company, and I don't know if it was called ID or whatever, but their tagline was, "We don't make the things you like. We make the things you like better." And if I could say, I would say that's Sharice, where she'll come in and say, I didn't create this, but I'm going to help you create and take us to the next level. That's her. That's her.
I like that. We didn't create and I do remember that tagline. It's sad because I'm dating myself, but I do remember that tagline, right? Yeah. So I think it's important to have a coach and a consultant to come in and help you. If you are a business, we come in and we consult with your business. I have many business clients that come in and I consult with them and I walk them through finding some areas of opportunity, right? And places where they say, "Oh, this was a failure." And I say, "Hey, listen, failures are meant to turn them upside down because there's successes in the making," right? Because that's what a failure is. And so we come in and we find out those areas of opportunity for you. If you are a small business, we're going to come in and help you finite and do some tweaks on things that you need to do and how to do it, and really kind of help you hone in on how to reach that particular market that you need to reach, right? Just like this talk today, Candace says, she absolutely loved the fact that we're doing this because it was something that you were just talking about. And I think we just broke through a lot of that clutter of what it was, producer, productions, TV, digital networks, and broke through some of all that for your real audience to say, "That's me. I have a theater. I have a show. I'm a comedian. I do live, concerts. I work with other people who put these things on and I bring them together. That's me." They may not have thought of that before. Now they'll know that if that's you, you text that number and they can make things happen. So that is what we do here at
Thank you so
Hustlepreneur.
much. There we go. I love it. And she wraps it all up in a great package that you can take away and eat. I'm saying food again. I'm really getting hungry. So,
right.
But thank you guys so much, Sharice.
Thank you so
much for really helping us on this. And like I said, if you guys are interested, anybody that's interested in being a producer, that's interested in really making money and being in charge of your own destiny and your own growth, text the word producer to 510-363-0381 and let's get started. Ain't nothing
all right
to
now. All right. Well, this is Sharice Gillen from Hustlepreneur Studios, and I'm out.
All right. Thank you so much. Bye, you guys.